Did Ford just lose to Chevy? We're going to find out in today's video. I'll include a link to the Carl Malone Ford and Chevy in Park City's websites in the description down below. Also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get right into it. Powering the Raptor is a twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed. It puts out 450 horsepower and then 510 pound-feet of torque. You can also get a supercharged V8 in the Raptor, but that costs another like $30,000. Now, the ZR2 has a 6.2-liter V8 that goes through a 10-speed. It puts out 420 horsepower and then 460 pound-feet of torque. You can get a diesel with this. It's actually less money than the V8 option, and that engine produces 305 horsepower and then 495 pound-feet of torque. I'm trying to hit 500,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help out with that. Now, I've already compared both these trucks to the 25 model year, so I'm actually going to be focusing more on the add-ons that are there on the ZR2 and comparing it to the Raptor and then seeing how they drive back to back. So a big item on the Raptor is you have this upgraded bumper from the factory with recovery points, and you have skid plate protection underneath. This Bison package on the ZR2 gives you the same setup in terms of skid plate protection, upgraded bumper, but it also has a winch. Now the Raptor comes stock with 35s, you can upgrade to 37s. The V8 version comes standard with 37s. The ZR2 actually comes stock with 33s, but this has an upgrade package that gives it 35s. It does have a slight lift, and this has the exact same tires as the Raptor, the KO2s. Now the Raptor utilizes live valve Fox shocks, and then it has a coil spring set up in the rear. The ZR2 utilizes multimatic shocks, which are not adjustable like the Fox shocks, and then it has leaf springs. Now here's the stance on the Raptor. It has wider fenders and fender flares so that it can have a wider track, giving it more stability at high speeds off-road. And that width, by the way, is why the Raptor has marker lights. Now this ZR2 has a slight lift with this package. Again, 35 is just like the Raptor, so really cool stance. Does not have a wide body. This is a standard body truck, so it's kind of more about crawling in a lot of ways. And that actually makes sense because when you look at the interior of the Raptor, it's very sporty with the seats and even with the steering wheel with those giant paddles. And the Raptor has a bunch of adjustments for steering, for the shocks, for the exhaust too. And then it has a rear locking differential. It's got a bunch of drive modes as well. But yeah, when you put it all together, you can see that a lot of the equipment and the interior is kind of tuned for sporty. But then looking at the ZR2 interior, like the seats and the steering wheel, you can tell it's definitely a lot more normal truck. And what I mean is it's not really sporty. It's definitely cool, easy to clean, and durable. But this gray trim doesn't scream sporty like what you have with the Raptor. Anyways, the Raptor does not have a front locker, but the ZR2 does happen to have a front locker, as well as a rear. And it has a bunch of off-road drive modes, 2-speed transfer case, all of that. Now, a Raptor equipped just like this is going to be a little bit over $80,000, whereas this special package from AEV is about $95,000, so similar to a 37 package Raptor. So let's take them out and see which one performs the best. Well, finally, we have a ZR2 with 35-inch tall tires. And backed by AEV. That's what you want, backed by AEV. So first off, in reverse, full lock, no rubbing. Now, I think that you can fit 34s on this without a lift, from my understanding. But you do have to do a pretty positive offset, have the tires tucked in pretty far. But yeah, if you do a little bit of a lift kit like this has, then you can get a little bit more of an aggressive stance like this truck has and have the bigger tires. These are the same tires that you have on a base Raptor. KO2s that are they're actually not 35s, by the way. They're technically a 34.4 if I remember right. But who's counting? Who's counting? Now the reason I'm driving back here is to see the suspension over little bumps. They got a real dirt lot here. A lot of car dealerships get rid of these, they pave them, but no, not here up in Park City, which is cool. Just kind of want to see how the suspension feels. Very truck-like. Very truck-like. Like it handles it, but you definitely feel it. You definitely feel it, which is cool. It's not like uncomfortable, but it's like you feel like you're in a more rugged vehicle. Now this V8's a really cool engine. You can also get this with a diesel, like I said, which is even cooler. GM's the only truck maker offering a diesel and a half-ton right now. Now this definitely feels taller than a regular ZR2. It definitely has that more tip-top truck feel. And what I mean by that is down travel feels fine, but you definitely just feel like you're sitting higher, have maybe a little bit more body roll. But yeah, overall it's very smooth. Very smooth. And the seats in normal GM fashion are they're comfortable actually for a Silverado, but they are going to be a little bit firmer, which I think is kind of what you want with off-roading, because you don't want to sink into your seat. You want to sit there with good posture as you're going over the bumps and everything. I am impressed with the suspension feel of this. It's quite nice actually. Let's see what the turning radius is like. I don't know if I'm gonna make it. Definitely not. Definitely not. It's okay, we tried. Whoa! I guess the truck's got a little bit too much power. Tires lost a little bit of traction there. Wasn't trying to. Yeah, this engine's really smooth though, which is, I think, one of the highlights. But it is super daily drivable. Like, it's very comfortable. Tires aren't too loud. It's got more than enough get up and go. And it's not too hard to get in and out of, honestly. They got a grab handle here. You do have to step up a bit, but it's not a big deal at all. Yeah, forgot how soft KO2s are. I think it's one of the reasons why they used them on the Raptors for such a long time, because it's got good off-road performance, but it also helps out with on-road ride quality quite a bit. Yeah, the diesel with this would be really cool off-road because you got all that low-end torque. And this truck's, we all know, it's more about crawling rather than high-speed off-roading, but it can do both. It can do both. Get a little bit more rugged driving in. And you gotta remember, the tires are not aired down, by the way. You air down KO2s, I know this from past experience, and it is cloud-like, because they're such soft tires. Yeah, this is great. Feels like it still has, you know, sometimes when you do a little bit of a lift, it can massively decrease down travel. This feels like it still has a solid amount. Yeah, I'm quite impressed. Feels kind of like a Gen 2 Raptor in a way. Just a compliment. So, let me know you guys think about this upfit package on the ZR2 Bison. But this is what we all wanted. This is what we all wanted. When the ZR2 got released, we all wanted 35s. And we finally got 35s. Well, 34.4s, but everyone calls them 35s. Ford calls them 35s, Chevy calls them 35s. So I guess we'll round up with them. Raptor back to back with the ZR2. Well, we better make this one a quick one. We don't have like any gas. Of course. So, right off the bat, this feels less truck-like, more sporty, more sports car-like in a way than the ZR2. It's kind of what the Raptor's always been about. Again, the wide body. But yeah, it has this, like, and the reason why it feels sporty and less truck-like is that wide body with this, again, the KO2s are pretty soft tires, but also with the Fox shocks and being coil sprung, it has this plushness side to side, right? Like a regular truck, like the ZR2 that has a standard body and not a wide body, it doesn't have quite as much kind of side-to-side floatiness in a way. Kind of, you know, you'll feel like the tippiness because it's a tall vehicle, but this, it's not tippy, it's just kind of floaty. And I mean, when you see the articulation of these things off-road, it really shows it. Yeah, the suspension's definitely more comfortable on this. Yeah, over the rocks and everything like this, I mean, you still feel it, that's for sure. It's not like they disappear, but this definitely feels a bit more comfortable. Yeah, and even the engine feels sportier. Even the engine kind of has a sportier undertone. It's fascinating to see. Yeah, I feel like this kind of like the ZR2, I mean, again, it felt kind of a little top heavy in a way. This not so much, but this kind of wanders a little bit on the road. Like you can kind of feel the suspension going. It's comfortable, but yeah, there's a lot happening in the suspension. That's what it feels like. Which isn't bad, it's just noticeable. It's just noticeable. Yeah, definitely a smoother ride. So, and I will say the seats are a little bit more comfortable in the Raptor too. It's another plus to the truck. Yeah, you can, again, this truck, I wonder how, if I wish I could do like an articulation test, because I wonder how much different the articulation is with the Raptor versus the ZR2. I have a feeling the Raptor probably articulates a bit more than the ZR2. It is coil sprung, and being coil sprung kind of, generally speaking, leads to a little bit more articulation. By the way, I didn't take the same turn as the ZR2. ZR2, I took a not as aggressive of an angle, so that's why I was able to do it in one go with the Raptor, by the way. This doesn't have a better turning radius. The turning radius actually feels pretty similar. So in summary, I think that ZR2 is really cool. It's more unique than the Raptor, because Raptors are a dime a dozen nowadays. But this is a really good package, and it's I mean, because Chevy doesn't fit 35s on the truck from the factory, and you have a company like AEV that has to go in after the fact to put bigger tires on, so anytime you get into the aftermarket world, it's always going to be more expensive than doing it just OEM, right? Because of scale, right? The economy of scale. So if they were the same price, I'd go, okay, well, the ZR2, like diesel and all that kind of stuff, really cool. But considering that the Raptor's quite a bit less money, unless you're doing like extreme rock crawling, Raptor's probably going to be the route to go. But I will say the diesel is still really appealing. So let me know which one you like better though. But there's pros and cons of both, but it's kind of like, man, that the ZR2 is 37 Raptor package money. So I don't know.